Grand rising, grand afternoon, grand evening, good people. Whatever time of day you find your eyes and your ears tuned into this Jay-Versations of Casual Jay-Versations, I welcome you in. I'm CJ, C-E-E, J-A-Y, and I'm so excited, so elated, so ecstatic, alliteration, for our next guest to join us on this Jay-Versations of Casual Jay-Versations. She hails from New York, but with Puerto Rican roots. She's an educator, an administrator, the first Hispanic principal of a middle school in Central Florida, my home state, the first Hispanic principal of one of Florida's largest high schools, and she retired from the Orange County public school system with a distinguished legacy. She now has a passionate commitment to students with disabilities through her venture, Disability Solutions LLC. Presento a algunas y presente a otros, Dr. Ana D. Diaz. Saludos, ¿cómo te va?
Oh, muy bien, muy bien. Thank you so much, CJ, for having me today. I really appreciate this. And, you hear that intro and you're like, oh my gosh, that is me. So thank you. Thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
You are so very welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on our show. We greatly appreciate it. And I love to lavish and edify my guests with the intro. That's probably like my favorite part. So I can just really edify my guests. So glad you like the intro.
Thank you. Thank you. You're really good at it. So keep it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Welcoming.
Thank you. Now, we're good people. We're basically talking about her faith, her friend, and her history as she climbed to being the first female principal of a school in Central Florida. So, but I want to kick it off here, Dr. Diaz. Now, your trajectory, you were planning on going to medical school, being a doctor and everything like that. Why education? Why the shift? Why the transition to education?
The Lord always works in mysterious ways, and things that seem bad for you at the moment, he has a way of turning them for good. And that's what happened in my life. My father was disabled. We moved to Puerto Rico, and I went to high school there, went to the University of Puerto Rico. And then that's when I said, okay, I really do I love science. And back then, genetics was still very new. So, I'm saying in the 70s. So I used to work with a professor after school.
Sure.
Studying DNA. But my dad decided to move to Florida, Central Florida in the Tampa Bay area. And of course, we went along because he wanted to become a pastor. He was disabled at the time. And so he was doing this when he could. I was accepted to University of South Florida.
Yep.
And as you know, you have out-of-state tuition. Yeah. Anyway, I went to see a counselor and I explained to her my passion, but I was a first-generation college student and I had no support as far as what to do next. Sure. She advised me that because my parents, my dad was disabled and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, that it would be a burden for them for me to go and pursue the College of Science, which would lead me to medicine. So I came home, cried, and decided to become an educator because I didn't want to give them the burden. I never told them that, but it worked out because it prepared me for the career that the Lord provided for me after that.
Well, many people have been blessed because you changed career paths because of education. So, and you're right. Sometimes the plans that we have are not his plans. So yes. Yeah, that's totally correct. So now, when you became principal at Stonewall Jackson Middle School, how did that make you feel?
I was elated. I was excited. I was scared. I had just only been assistant principal at a high school, brand new high school. It was it was a beautiful high school, 9 months. And then I got the promotion to become principal of this inner city school. I'll tell you, I didn't even know where it was. Okay. But when the superintendent says, we're appointing you, you said, yes, sir. Thank you so very much. So when I pull up to this school, it was neglected. It had mildew in just the locker, mildew on the outside of the building. And when you'd walk in, the rusted lockers. So I had just come from a brand new school. So it was exciting, right?
Yeah.
But it's also, have you experienced when your heart just drops to your stomach? Okay, that was me, because now I was the principal and I was, okay, what am I going to do with this? So yeah, both mixed feelings, excited and very scared.
Right. Wow.
Very scared.
That had to be a culture shock, right? Coming from a brand spanking new high school, going to an inner city school that was neglected. They didn't have the funds, or did they have the funds and they were not being utilized correctly?
The funds were there. Now, this was in the early 90s.
Okay.
The influx of Hispanics in Central Florida, it was like everyone was coming to Central Florida. And the people here in Central Florida did not know what to do with all the Puerto Ricans. So the stereotypes of Hispanics not knowing the language, okay, and not having the education, and that's what was the thinking, basically made it at that time easy for people to make excuses for offering students and their families the very best. So this school exemplified that. The monies were there, but they were not being spent on the students. Wow. So it was a difficult time, but praise God, I know how to spend money.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, with the help of my mentor, Dr. Clara Walters, that I know you all have spoken about her.
Yes.
She mentored me through the process of being the first Hispanic principal of a secondary school and being able to stay and proceed in that position no matter the challenges. And she taught me many, many things. And because of her leadership, I was able to do things for that school that, wouldn't have been done if the prior administration would have stayed.
Wow. Now, you know what? That's a great segue, because we were connected. And for those who do not know, Dr. Walters is my former high school principal at the illustrious Jones High School, the historic Jones High School.
Go Tigers.
Yes, Mama Tiger. And so you and I were connected when I did a Black History piece on her. And then she sent me an autographed copy of her book, Leadership That Restores Hope. What I want you to do is read just a little bit of what you actually wrote in her book concerning going to Stonewall Jackson as the principal. As the first Hispanic secondary principal, I experienced much discrimination from a small part of the community that did not want me to lead the school. I received death threats at my home, and many false accusations were claimed against me. So with that, you had some backlash that you had to go through. How did that play on your emotions or your physical being or your mental well-being, experiencing that type of backlash just because you were a Hispanic female?
It was difficult, and anyone who has experienced discrimination understands that it does take a toll on you, because you're thinking that your good intentions are being misunderstood or distorted, because the things that we were doing were good for all students. But have you ever heard this saying, and we have it in Spanish, that cats only have 4 legs, but the people look for 5 when they really only have 4 legs? Okay, so when you're doing something good and then a certain population just tries to find something else that's wrong with it when there's nothing wrong with it, that's what discrimination does, and it hurts the person that's going through. So yes, it not only hurt me, but it also hurt my family. And it was difficult, but if I wouldn't have had the mentorship of Dr. Walters, who had come before me and had experienced her own discrimination,
Sure.
she helped me maneuver the political environment that I was in, because in those days, those that were in leadership had strong ties to certain elements in the community.
Right.
So they were experiencing pressure. But thank God, Dr. Walters, Clara, was there to help me. You know what she taught me? She taught me get enough points on the scoreboard on your side, so that when you do mess up and it is really your fault, that there are enough points up there that you can cash in. So what does that mean? It meant that I needed support from the outside community.
Okay.
The local politicians, the local community advocates, to help with the school and the vision that we had for that school. But I wouldn't have known how to do that because I was naive. I thought you do a good job, people are going to help you. That was not the way it was. Doing a good job had nothing to do with it. It was basically who you knew.
Yeah, my aunt,
and his life changed. I mean, it's like, you know, you could work really hard, folks, but if you don't have enough people out there that are loud and can speak about your work, you're alone.
Yeah.
And she taught me that we needed enough people to speak about my work, that it basically drowned out the voices that were opposing my leadership because I was Hispanic.
Wow. I was going to say my Aunt Lily Mae, or as I call her, my Aunt Sweet Potato Pie in Central Florida. She always taught me it's not all about what you know, but about who you know. And you need people in your corner like Dr. Walters. There's no self-made anyone. Everyone has had someone down the line that gave them an encouraging word, an encouraging advice, or something to help them get to where they are today. Now, with that backlash and navigating through the waters of that backlash, I know when we talked before, it affected you emotionally and mentally and physically, because I think you became sick.
Yes, I was out. Yes, I was. I used to work 7 days a week. And because the school needed so much. And when you're a person that you know what needs to get fixed, you just throw yourself at the work. Unfortunately, when you do that long enough, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, you can get sick. My police officer and my secretary, I remember them just taking me to the emergency room. I had pneumonia. And it was horrible because now I sacrificed my family and everything I wanted to do for the school. I couldn't. So I was out for 3 months. Absolutely. So folks, do not jeopardize your health for anything, because I've learned if you're not there for yourself, you cannot be there for others. And that's my mission. When I meet leaders, I tell them, you need to be there for yourself and your family. And I learned that early on.
Now, did you have to seek any, besides the physical doctors, did you have to seek any mental well-being for mental health during that time period?
Well, you know, back then and still today, for you to go to a counselor, oh my gosh, there's stigma. But yes, I had to. And I had counselors like Dr. Walters, some private counseling, because I found that I accelerated myself too much, meaning I did not know where the line was to stop in order for me to back up, rest, and proceed. And frankly, here's when you are faced with being the first, even the second or third, or when you're the minority, you feel that you have to do it better than anyone else, okay? Okay.
You're hitting on something right there, Doc.
Yeah. You feel that you have to do it better than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
When in fact, you have, I mean, how would I explain? This is the way I see it. I have to go 10 steps in front of people and they're still here. But in order for me to prove myself worthy, I must be 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, that can take a toll on a person if they continue that trajectory. It's not that I'm not saying be the very best in your field. I'm not saying that. But what is your motive? Is it because you want people to accept you?
Sure.
Okay. Is it because you want to be a role model? But what you need to check yourself. What is the motive? Because it can be exhausting and it can take a toll both on you physically and mentally.
You just hit on something. I'm a big song reference guy, whether it be R&B, gospel, country, rock, or what have you. One of the songs that came to mind when you said check yourself is a hip hop song back in the day. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Now, I didn't really understand at the time what that really meant, but now as an adult and having more experience in life, yes, if you need to take a mental health break, take it. If you need to talk to someone, talk to someone. Don't hold and bottle things up because that can lead to wrecking yourself in a multitude of different ways. So those who are going through some mental health issues, this is just a mental health keynote. Seek the help that you need to receive. Now, if you are joining us, good people, we are having a Jay-Versation with the wonderful Dr. Anna D. Diaz, the historic making principal out of my home city, Central Florida. Now, when you became the principal of Stonewall Jackson, were you really aware of the historical perspective becoming a principal of a school named after a general in the Confederate Army as a Hispanic woman?
No. And here's what's so funny. I have to tell you that a few years ago, the school board voted and they changed the name to Roberto Clemente, that he played for the Pirates and he was
Yes,
one
and
of
he's from
our
Puerto Rico.
heroes. Yes. So, which is awesome that they changed it from Stonewall Jackson. I am telling you, all I can say was this. I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to go back and look at his history. And then people direct me to this is the history they wanted me to talk about. Well, the general, he was good to his troops. And you could read it in his letters. And he was a Christian and he was a believer. But what they did not want me to talk about is he was on the wrong side of history. So here's that. I'm telling you, it was just, so we used to call it Jackson Middle School, not Stonewall Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we dropped the Stonewall, but it didn't cease for him being a Confederate general and what atrocities he and his troops committed, other than he wrote good, God-fearing letters to his troops. So
yeah, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you still have all the values correct. And you're right, on the wrong side of history. And yes, and it's so ironic that the school was changed to Roberto Clemente, who's a famer baseball player.
Me being a
Puerto Rico.
Yes, the first Puerto Rican or Hispanic principal, and then the school board names Roberto Clemente. Now, I have to say, they even had my name up there talking about Ana Diaz, but they don't do that, okay? You have to die in order for them to name a school, but hey, Roberto Clemente, it doesn't get any better.
No.
So it's been a different perspective when I look back of where we are in Central Florida today. And we even have a Hispanic superintendent, to the days when there were only a few of us. So things do change, but it does take a lot of internal fortitude and faith and a group of people to support you. Like I have to say again, Dr. Walters, Think of it. If I did not have Dr. Walters in my life, I would not be here today, because there were no role models or people that could relate to what I was going through. So we have to be those people for the younger generation that are coming up, and be there to support and encourage them, because someone did for us.
Yes, and for those who may not be aware of Dr. Walters, because we talked about her quite a bit here, she was the first Black female principal of a middle school in Central Florida, Carver Junior High, or Carver Middle School back then, and then became the first Black female principal of a high school in Central Florida, which of course is Jones High School, where I graduated from. So she was blazing a path. Now, mind you, I did not know this while I was in school. My god sister Reed, she remembers, but there's a piece of my history or mental memory that is locked away during my senior year in high school for other reasons. But
I'm sure you had too much fun.
Well, I have fun, but there was another reason that literally changed the trajectory of my life. But so I did not know that at the time. And so for those who do not know, this is why we're Dr. Diaz is highlighting Dr. Walters, because of her trailblazing that set the path for you. And now you're setting the path, or have set the path, for someone else to come behind you. That is so awesome. Now, we talked about the money that was there at Stonewall Jackson that was not being utilized because of the influx of Puerto Rican students that coming into Central Florida, and them not wanting to invest in the adequate education, the adequate beautification of the campus. Because truth be told, no one wants to come to an establishment that is run down. That's not lifting your spirits. So we talked about some of the things you were able to accomplish, getting rid of some of the drug dealing, getting some new things into the school. What were some of your major accomplishments that you are most proud of that you were able to accomplish at Stonewall Jackson, now Roberto Clemente?
Well, I can start by, when my secretary told me how much money we had, and that was a lot of money back then. I think it was over $200,000 that was saved. And no, this is the 90s. That's a lot of money. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. So then, with the help of community leaders, I had commissioners that wanted to help. I had the police department that wanted to help, because the back of the school was not lit, and it was an open field. So at night, you had the criminal element that would gather behind the school for fights, which had nothing to do with our students. But it was the thought process was, if it was happening on the campus at night, it obviously was attached to the school. Anyway, we had the police department, we had county and city commissioners, we even had the United States Navy that was here. They all partnered with our school, in addition to the monies I had. So the monies I had, of course, would have to be spent with the district, but we came together with a plan. If we beautify the school, then kids feel that they're coming to a school that people care about.
Yeah.
So the United States Navy helped paint the interior and exterior of the school. We took lockers down that were just rusted out. We even put wrought iron fence in the front of the school. The city of Orlando helped landscape with volunteers, teachers, and parents, all the campus. We brought books. We just took the media center and just revamped it with books. The cafeteria, we put new lighting. We put drapes on the cafeteria. If you know, some of the cafeterias are used as an auditorium. There were no drapes. It was horrible. It was rat infested. So we were able to get, yes. I just couldn't understand how a school could be so neglected. But I have to tell you that with God's help, and the community and the district, we were able to make that school what we called an oasis for learning. We brought programs in for students with disabilities. We brought programs in for the gifted students. We even had tours with the district because at that time, if parents didn't want to go to that school, they would be sent to whatever school was closest.
Sure.
And of course, they didn't want to go to that school because the stereotypes that were existing in those days. But the district was very supportive. After they saw the change, they were not giving transfers out. So the community started to embrace the school. And it was amazing. So yeah, I did spend a lot of money, and I am thankful that the person that was there before me left some money because they could have squandered it. So we were able to transform that school for the future of our students. So it was amazing. It was amazing. After all of the heartache, there was joy in the morning. And I was there 4 to 5 years, and then I became a high school principal at University High School.
You better preach, Dr. Diaz. So that is so awesome. You know, weeping was enduring in the morning, but when you came in and the collective efforts of the village, i.e. community, and of course, my United States Navy.
That's right. I couldn't have done it without the Navy.
That's right. It just really transformed the school. So you not only became the first Hispanic female of a middle school in Central Florida, but you transformed the school into a place, an oasis, as you mentioned, of higher learning where students felt good about coming to school. And then teachers felt good about teaching the students coming to school. All of that matters.
Yes, it does matter. Can you imagine having microscopes and kits for science and kits for reading, and kids could take materials home? You have to create those environments in order for learning to occur. If you expect students to learn, give them the very best, because you know what? Their brains, the sky's the limit. So that was then and today. If you have low expectations, people meet those low expectations. But if you have high expectations and provide the necessary supports for them to achieve, all students can achieve.
That's right. That's right. Now I want to shift the topic. Now, since you retired, you transitioned out of OCPS, but you're still in education, right?
Yes.
And now you have developed and founded the Disability Expert Solutions LLC with students with disabilities. What was your main passion? What was your main reason for going that direction? You could have went into consultation and just, but disabilities, that's a particular area. Why the area of disabilities, and what was your passion about going into that area?
Well, you know, my passion, I went to the University of South Florida, and that's where I got my degree in special education.
Okay.
So coming into education, I was a resource teacher, and I saw the expectations people had for students with disabilities. And throughout my trajectory in Orange County, after I became a high school principal, then I was assigned to become associate superintendent over exceptional ed and multilingual. And then that's where I would say that I could see that the low expectations, students with disabilities were not graduating at the numbers they needed to with a standard diploma. Their classrooms, although we had monies, did not reflect the expectations we should have for them. So I did that for 10 years for the district. And we saw students graduating with a standard diploma of at least 80% of students. When I started, it was 54%. And we did a lot of things throughout, you know, those years, and we can talk about it another time on what it takes to have high expectations for students with disabilities. So when I left Orange County Public Schools, I thought, you know what, you've got a lot of parents that need the tools to advocate for themselves. They'll hire someone, but sometimes it's very expensive. And that parent can have that child till they're 22 in the school system. So what if we educate parents and encourage them to advocate for themselves? So that's what I do. I help parents. I prepare them for the meetings. I tell them, I'm not going to go to the meeting with you. I know you can do this. If it looks like it's not going to work out, these are the words you say. And then you can conclude the meeting and I'll coach you for the next time.
Right.
Because you're going to have to advocate for your child for the rest of their lives. And I even have taught students how to advocate for themselves. So I enjoy doing that, and working with charter schools. I do that. And I even work with principals in low achieving schools. So I am so excited about this part of my life, you know, and I represent principals and assistant principals in Orange County with their association. So I do many things, but it's wonderful to be in education still, but have the freedom to do it when you want and with who and how you like to, you know, keep the message going.
Sure. So just like Dr. Walters blazed a path for and influenced many people that came after her, you likewise have blazed a path and are influencing many people that have come after you and still doing so, both of you actually. So with that said, Dr. Diaz, give us some parting words for the good people.
Oh, goodness. You know, the parting words would be this. We all come to this earth with certain gifts and talents. It's really up to you to find those and then pursue them with all your heart. Don't listen to the voices around you that may want to point out what your future should be. You were born with that gift. Once you know that gift, pursue it with all your heart, you know, and you're going to be successful. You're going to be successful. Find the people that align themselves with the gift God has given you. Learn from them, and then share with others everything you've learned. That's what I can tell you, because it's helped me tremendously.
You know, you just hit on quite a few nuggets in that one, the parting word piece, and also during this entire interview. You mentioned God-given talents, and a pastor that I heard some months ago, actually, you know, when a person is born, God provides them a gift. It doesn't skip anyone. It's just up to that person to find what that gift is. Some people have multiple gifts. So that is a powerful, powerful, powerful words. Thank you so much, Dr. Diaz with Disability Solutions, Disability Expert Solutions, LLC, and all that you have done for people, Hispanic women, Black women, whatever, letting them know that if you have the desire, you can achieve anything that is set in your heart by utilizing the gifts that God has given to you. Dr. Diaz, I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on Casual Jay-Versations. We so greatly appreciate it. Give the good people your social media handles to keep in contact with you and get in contact with you concerning your business.
Okay, you can go for more information to disabilityexpertsolutions.com, and you'll have information about how to get a hold of me. But my email is disabilityexpertsolutions@gmail.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. Good people. Well, that wraps up another phenomenal Jay-Versode on Casual Jay-Versations. I thank you for tuning in, whether it's by your eyes or your ears. You can keep up with me at I am CJ Joseph. That's IAMCEEJAYJOSEPH, like a man with a coat of many colors, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and CJ Joseph on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate you, and I pray that your today is better than your yesterday. Until then, be blessed.